Hello, welcome to today's video diary for finding my way with Pi, purpose, intention, and emotion. I am Pi. And today I am thinking about the root causes of burnout. I'm thinking about this because this week I've had an opportunity to have a conversation, I'm choking on something, to have a conversation with multiple conversations with multiple different people, all of whom resonated with reaching burnout at some point and what that felt like for them. So if you've been following my story, you know that I had hit a state of extreme burnout and it was bad. It impacted my physical body. I ran into medical problems, felt like emotional and mental health crisis, and coming back from it and healing from it has been a journey deeper into my heart and my spirit than I ever imagined burnout could be. And I think that there is a misconception of what burnout is, or maybe even a incomplete definition of what burnout is. I think it's often looked at like an equation of energy, energy depletion versus energy restoration. So for the human body, we need recovery, we need repair, and if it's not built in enough into what we do, then, your energy declines, your physical health declines, which impacts your emotional and mental well-being as well. And I think often that is what the assumption is that burnout is. I would like to propose that burnout is something deeper than that. And I'm proposing this based off of my own personal experience, as well as discussions that I've had with others. I recognize that it's difficult to measure this or quantify it, but I really would be interested in understanding others' experience of burnout, because I have yet to find that this element that I'm going to talk about is not present in people who have experienced burnout. We have an epidemic of burnout in our country right now at epic proportions. And I think there's a very good reason for it. There's a lot of work that people do in corporation type settings and huge corporate businesses. And so much of the work, as well as the way that it is structured, siloed into different pillars or organizations within the organization that serve each other, but they're all shared services and they're all almost generic, and it's almost like this jack of all trades, master of none, and no one has autonomy, no one has a voice anymore, because you can't decide, you can't even say, I need these resources to get this project done. Nobody's listening to that. It doesn't matter. Things are based off of decisions, off of decimal points in spreadsheets for portfolio management. I am not issuing an opinion on whether that is a right or wrong way of running a business. And I am not issuing an opinion on whether or not the free market and the stock market and answering to the street is right or wrong or any of that. All I am doing is sharing what that does to the people who work within those structures over time. There's a reason why there's a large number of people experiencing burnout. when they work within structures that way. I believe it's more than just depleted energy. Depleted energy is absolutely a huge part of it, because so much of that model is like trying to squeeze water out of stone and get more and more and more out of the people that you have working in the system. And I think that's unhealthy and should, we need to make sure that we're caring for human wellness. But more than that and beyond that, maybe I should say on top of that, interconnected with that, the reason why it's worse of an epidemic above and beyond just the energy depletion, in my opinion, it is this lack of meaning. It is this lack of purpose. It's this being asked to do things that do cause harm. Maybe not, something that's real explicit. It's just nonsensical. It works against everything you've worked towards. You're always running in place. You cannot ever seem to accomplish and deliver anything. You don't have a voice. You don't get to have autonomy. You don't get to feel pride in the work that you're doing because you didn't get to choose any of it or contribute to any of it, or you don't even get to be creative anymore because someone's telling you this is just how you're going to do it. You only get to execute. You lose meaning and pride in the work that you do, and you feel like you can never win, that you can never be successful. It doesn't matter what you try to do, you're never able to complete something that you feel good about because the system is designed against you. The system constantly changes in leadership and roles and turnover and mental health crises, and nothing makes sense. You don't have control over resources that you need to get the jobs done. You're not given enough. You're expected to do the same amount with less than half of what you had before. Like, it's stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked against you. It doesn't make sense. You have to pretend that you're okay, even though they say, hey, it's okay if you're having a mental health crisis. At the same time, they're saying, where are you? We need you to put in your 12 hours today. I'm just saying, at a certain point, as a human, you begin to ask yourself, what am I doing? What is the purpose that I'm here? I'm losing my agency. I'm losing my choice. My voice doesn't matter. I don't feel like I can do work that I'm proud of. None of this feels meaningful. Yes, do I take home a paycheck? Yes. It's not enough. It's not enough to stop this bleed of my spirit. It's not enough to make me feel like a whole human. We have forgotten spirit in the equation. And what I mean by spirit or spirituality is meaning and purpose and relevance. We've forgotten that in this equation of burnout. If that was there, think about this. Have you ever had something that you were working towards that you felt like was so meaningful and so important, and you were very excited about it, that you put in all-nighters, or that you worked incredibly hard, ended up being very tired when it was all said and done, but also satisfied because you did the thing that was meaningful to you? Do you see how it cannot be only an energy equation? If that were true, then even those things, like I just described, where you depleted your physical energy to do something that meant something to you, even those things would result in deep burnout all the time. But they don't. Maybe there's a little blip where you need to get some rest, but it fuels your spirit. It fuels your fire. It gives you meaning in life. What happens to you when you go day in and day out for hours at a time and it's meaningless? It's meaningless. What you focus on grows. There is this crisis, this existential meaninglessness moving through our culture, this burnout. It is not just about energy, it's about a burnout of our spirits. That was my experience. I had been nominated for this development program for high-performing women leaders. And the intake process for this program was for my mentor to do a 1-hour interview with me. And she asked me, what do you hope to most achieve when you graduate from this program 6 months from now? And I looked at her and I said, I would like to achieve work-life balance so that I can feel good again. And she said, oh, well, tell me what you do today to achieve work-life balance. How do you take care of yourself? And I said, whew, I work out. I have a consistent routine. I like to take care of my physical body. I know I need to get good sleep. I try to do that. I keep a gratitude journal so I can keep my mind focused on things that I appreciate. I do yoga. I meditate. And then there's a couple of other things I try here and there. I try to make sure that I leave work, at work, but it bleeds over. But yeah, and she goes, hey, you check all the boxes. Sounds like you've got that one, kid. And I go, what? And she said, yeah, most people I talk to, they don't do most of those things. And she said, how long have you been doing that? And I said, about 2 years or longer. I said, but wait a minute, this can't be right. You're telling me from your perspective that you think I've achieved work-life balance? And she said, yeah, I think you're doing it right. Good job. And I said, you must be mistaken because I feel like I'm dying inside. This is my point. Even when you're doing the things to try to take care of yourself, and day in and day out, you are going in to something that feels meaningless and purposeless and senseless because you cannot gain any traction, you cannot get anything done, and you start to think it's you. It's not. The system is stacked against it. And then we get stuck there and we're afraid to leave because it can't be better anywhere else. And we burn. And then when you hit burnout, it's such a deep spiritual burnout, emotional and spiritual, including the havoc it wreaks on your body, that you spend months healing emotional pain, maybe that was even way long ago in your childhood, but that your body, it's like it needs to know you're going to go back and handle all of this and make it safe for me again, because you've been going and doing day in and day out this senseless, meaningless work you're forcing me to do. Listen, I don't have all the answers. I have suffered right there along with you if you've ever experienced anything like this. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said, yes, oh my gosh, yes, 100% yes. That's what I felt too. I don't know what the answer is, but I want to try to find it or discover it. And part of it, I think, lies in knowing ourselves and listening to ourselves, but I don't have all the answers because I know it's complicated. We still need to bring home a paycheck to care for our families. But this connection to spirit and meaning and purpose and burnout, this might just be where my work lies. It's beyond energy. So I'd like to go for my PhD beginning in September of 2025, PhD in human flourishing. And this might just be an area of research and study for me. Because I have lived this existential meaninglessness and extreme burnout, and it is soul deep. And if you're in it, I know what you're feeling. There is hope for you. You can heal. You do have to make a choice to change your situation, because it will continue to deplete you. And only you can know what's right and best for you. I would just say, if you're thinking about it, but you're afraid, trust life. We have to change. Life is change. And if your body and your heart and your soul and your spirit is telling you, this is no longer okay for me here, I can't even find joy in things I used to find joy in, it's time to get still and listen to yourself and understand what it is that you want. Stop telling yourself that what's wrong with you, you're making a good paycheck, it should be fine. There's so much more in life than that. And if you're not fine, then it's not fine. Soapbox, but I've just had some very deep conversations about this, and I really, really wish I could solve it. At minimum, I'm gonna try to create spaces and pockets of meaning where I can. Thanks for being with me on this journey. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope it helps you too. I'll see you tomorrow.